Hi guys, I'm Marilyn Nabingpuna and I'm going to present about the project termination. So, the contents of this project termination is first is when to terminate a project, types of project termination, the termination process, and the project final report, and then the summary. So, project termination is eventually the project is terminated, whether it is quickly or slowly. But the manner in which it is closed out will have a major impact on the quality of life of the organization. Occasionally, the way project termination is managed can have an impact on the success of the project. A primary criterion for project continuation or termination should be whether or not the organization is willing to invest the same time and costs required to complete the project, given its current status and expected outcome. There are criteria commonly applied for deciding whether to terminate a project fall into two general categories. First is the degree to which the project has met its goals and objectives, and second is the degree to which the project qualifies against a set of factors generally associated with success or failure. So, in terms of the first category, it is a project has met its goals. The time has come to shut it down. The most important reason for the early termination of the project is a likelihood. It will be technical or commercial failure. The factors associated with project failure, however, vary from the different industries, different project types, and different definitions of failure. As we already noted, there appear to be four generic factors associated with project success: efficiency of the project execution, customer satisfaction and use, impact on the firm conducting the project, and contribution to the project firm's failure. Success in these dimensions appears to be directly related to the effectiveness of the project management. There also appears to be four fundamental reasons for project failure. So first is a project was not required for this task in the first place. And the second one is insufficient support from senior management. And the third one is naming the wrong project manager. And the fourth is poor upfront planning. To decide which project should be continued and which project should be dropped, Whitley 2009 suggested that the decision maker should answer these five questions. So first question is, which project have a legal or strategic imperative? Second question is, which project are luxuries? Third question is, which projects are likely to drive future revenues and growth? And the fourth question is, which projects best match our skill sets and strengths, allowing us to deliver successfully? And the last question is, what are the potential risks to the business if we do not service the demands for the project deliverables? He also suggested that taking any present current requirements into consideration, there are several fundamentally different ways to close out a project: the extension, addition, integration, and starvation. So first is project extinction. It is occurs when the project activity suddenly stops. Although there are still property, equipment, materials, and personnel to disburse or reassign, the project is terminated, either because it was successfully completed or because the expectation of failure was high. Successful projects are completed and delivered to the client. Failures occur when the project no longer meets cost or benefit criteria, or when its goals have been achieved by another project, often in another firm. Next is project termination by addition. It is occurs when an in-house project is successfully completed and institution as new formal part of the organization. For example, adding department, division, subsidiary, or another such organizational entity, depending on the magnitude and importance of the project. Termination by integration. With termination by addition, the project property often is simply transferred to an existing or newly created organizational entity. With termination by integration, the output of the project becomes a standard part of the operating systems of the sponsoring firm or the client. The new software becomes the standard, and the new machine becomes a normal part of the production line. Termination by starvation often occurs when it is impolitic to terminate a project, but its budget can be squeezed as budgets always, until it's a project name only. The project may have been suggested by a special client or a senior executive, or perhaps terminating the project should be an embarrassing acknowledgement of managerial failure. Occasionally, a few project personnel members remain assigned to such a project, along with a clerk whose duty it is to issue a no progress project report once each quarter. It is considered bad manners for anyone to inquire about such projects. As usual, the following process and advice may be ignored in the case of small routine projects. For all major and non-routine projects, however, it is best for a broadly based committee or of reasonably senior executive to make the termination decision in order to diffuse and withstand the political pressures that often accompany such decision. In general, projects do not fit kindly to being shut down to the extent possible. It is best to detail criteria used and explain the rationale for the committee decision, but do not expect sweet reason to quell opposition and to stifle the cries of pain. The activities required to ensure a smooth and successful project termination will have, and we hope, been included in the initial project plan. The termination process will have much better results for all concerned if it is planned and managed with care, even treating it as a project itself. The project final report is not another evaluation. Though the audits and evaluations have a role in it, with the exception of routine project where a simple "we did it, no problems" is sufficient, the project final report is a history of the project. How the report is written and in what style is a matter of taste and preference. In any case, the following items should be addressed. First is the project performance. Project performance, perhaps the most important information, is what the project attempted to achieve, what it did achieve, and the reasons from the resulting performance. Administrative performance. Administrative practices that work particularly well or poorly should be identified and the reasons given. If modification to administrative practices would help future projects, this should be noted and explained. Next is organizational structure. Projects may have different structures, and the way the project is organized may either aid or hinder the project. Modification projects that will help future projects should be identified. Next is project teamwork. A confidential section of the final report should identify from members who work particularly well and possibly those who work poorly with others. Project management techniques. Project success is so dependent on the skill and techniques for forecasting, planning, budgeting, scheduling, resource allocation, control risk management, and so on. That procedures that work well or badly should be noted and commented upon recommendation for improvements. And the future projects should be made and explained. The fundamental purpose of the final report is to improve future projects. Thus, recommendations for improvements are especially appropriate and valued by the organization. Of course, none of the recommendation of improvements are especially appropriate and valued by the organization. Projects are usually terminated, either based on the degree to which they are meeting their goals or the degree to which the quality or factors showing to be linked to success or failure in the other projects. The most common reason for early termination is the probability of technical and commercial failure. The four types of project termination are extinction, addition, integration, and starvation. The termination decision should be decided by a management committee run by termination manager and executed as a project in itself. Placing the project team members in new assignments is a particularly important aspect of termination. The management should prepare a project final report that makes recommendation for improving the organization future project management practices.